What's going on, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas and the Pot at the Palace, coming to you with our post-game report card following Arkansas's 75-60 win over UTSA on Saturday. Whew, buddy. First half F, second half A. Is that fair? We talked about this being a trap game for the Razorbacks, and I think they fell right into it in the first half. Fortunately for them, they figured it out after that. And we're plus 20 over the Roadrunners in the second half and wound up winning the game comfortably. But they did not look good coming out of the gates. Looked like a team that was coming off of an emotional road win and maybe looking ahead to the opportunity to play in Madison Square Garden a couple of days from now. Weren't ready to play. Looked unorganized and unenergetic and uninspired, and found themselves down by 5 at the break. And boy, you could hear a pin drop in Bud Walton Arena, but it picked up significantly after that, and Arkansas was able to get the win, which was good to see. Let's get into it, though. We'll start with the team stuff and then get into the players. Offensively, C plus maybe. I mean, they shot 53% from the field, which is impressive, all things considered, because I think they were about 38% in the first half, but 67% in the second half. Very much one of those tell of two halves kind of games there. But too many turnovers, in my opinion, against a UTSA 15. That's too many against a team like that. Can't have that. And honestly, despite going, 53% from the field, not a lot of 3-point volume there without Big Z in the lineup, only 5 of 15. You got to shoot more threes than that in modern college basketball. They got away with it in this game. The really rough first half against a really bad, frankly, UTSA defense. That stuff has to be taken into account there. 14 of 19 from the free throw line, so a little bit better from that standpoint, 74%. So, some good things. 15 assists is not a bad number, but this is a team where, Arkansas should have been able to score upwards of 100 points. Really good after the break, but first half has to be taken into account there. Defense, I'll give them a solid B. I mean, I thought they were solid defensively. The energy wasn't there early in the game and really through a majority of the first half, but they didn't get they weren't burned, I guess, too bad for it. UTSA didn't really make them pay. They only had 32 first half points themselves. I thought Arkansas really ratcheted things up after the break, forced some shot clock violations, really started to set down and win those one-on-one matchups. The Roadrunners were a team that they were just out there trying to get buckets, man, win one-on-ones, make tough shots. They did at times, but Arkansas was a lot better in the second half. Didn't think they created quite enough havoc, let the guards get loose a little bit. Only forced 9 turnovers there. You'd like to see it a little bit higher. I know that the backcourt, Primo Spears and Millender, the 1-2 punch there at the guard positions, those guys combined for 37. That's a little bit too much. But again, I thought Arkansas was a lot better in the second half. Solid B. Could have been better, could have been worse. Not too shabby. Was enough to get the job done. Let's get into the players, though. Once again, I mean, it's just becoming a common thing, but Adou Thiero gets the A+. That's reserved for the MVP. And like we always say, doesn't mean you had a perfect game just because you had a perfect grade. But we give the A+ to the MVP, and it's hard to go anywhere other than Adou Thiero. I mean, you look at it at the end of the game, and it's crazy. I knew he was having a good performance, but I didn't know it was this good. The sneakiest double-double I've ever seen. Monster game. 26 points, 10 rebounds in this game. He had 3 assists, a couple turnovers, and a block. Arkansas's plus 18 with him on the floor in 30 minutes, which is really good, in a game that you win by 15 there. 8 of 10 shooting, on 26 points on 10 shots is ridiculous. And it means a couple things. One, you're very efficient, which he was, 8 of 10. And 2, you're probably getting to the free throw line quite a bit unless you're a volume 3-point shooter. Thiero's not, but he gets to the line 13 times, and he's been shooting about 50% the last couple games, 13 of his last 24. 10 of 13 in this game. So started to correct that, which is really, really good to see. Good on the offensive glass with 3 boards. The crazy alley-oop dunk that he finished over the top of that poor boy from UTSA was really, really impressive. But a great bounce back, man, from Thiero. I thought he looked really, really good for Arkansas in this game. Nice performance. He gets the MVP. No drama there. And then we'll just kind of work our way through the rest of the box score and grade these guys out. And remember, it's not a player versus player comparison. We grade each player individually, kind of on their own curve based on their role on the team, how they've been playing, the expectations that we have for them, so on and so forth. Who's up first? Johnell Davis. Good one to have there, I think, early on. I'll give Nelly You got to take the full game into account. B minus. Although I thought he was pushing an A in the second half of this game. Thought he came out looking a little bit more aggressive in the first half, which was good. Uh, Maybe hunting a little bit more to get into the lane, putting on the deck more. All things that I want to see from Johnell Davis. But then he was dribbling himself into some turnovers. Got a little careless there. I thought he was real active defensively throughout the game, which you like to see. But again, he just kind of came alive in the second half. It was interesting to hear John Calipari talk about Johnell after the game, and he was saying, "Hey, you know what? I got to figure out why Nelly gets so tired, so fatigued in the first 4 minutes of games." And he said he thinks he's got some anxiety. We got a nervous Nelly situation here, which I didn't expect to hear. But for those who were saying, "Hey, why not bring him off the bench as kind of that 6-man spark?" That interests me. The only thing is, who the hell would you put in there, right? Because I don't think Carter or Billy are playing well enough as guards for you to insert them into the starting lineup right now. But I do wonder if you get your front court fully healthy, and then maybe you're in a situation where you're starting Adou and Trevon at the 4 or 5, then you could go Thero in the wing, and then you got Boogie and DJ in the backcourt. And then maybe you could bring Johnell off and do something like that then. But at any rate, I thought he was really good in the second half. Knocked down a couple threes. He drove baseline to score and had a really tough finish. For like the first time this season, we've seen him get aggressive going to the rim like that. That was great. He had a coast-to-coast transition finish. Also very good. Finishes with 13 points, so double figures again. So a couple games back-to-back where he's gotten in double figures. Good. 3 of 5 from 3. Man, he's really getting that thing off quick. I like it. Wish he took more than 7 shots. He didn't. Okay. Only 1 rebound in this game, 3 assists. 4 turnovers, though, is a little bit too much, and that's kind of why I fell in that B- range for Johnell. Boogie Fland, ooh, C-. And honestly, I'd think about going a little bit lower than that, even though I know he had a bunch of assists, if it wasn't for the way that he played in the second half where he picked it up. But wasn't a great game for Boogie, especially in the first half. I thought he really struggled. He's done a really good job, I guess I should say, of being able to get to his spots and create some separation and get quality shots off and knock them down. He wasn't able to do that in this game. In fact, started to really settle for some tough looks, contested, fade away off 1 foot jumpers, not great looks for him. Had a long outlet pass where he's trying to make the home run play, trying to take the home run instead of the single, turned it over. Catches a ball on the corner. He's out of bounds on the sideline. Just some uncharacteristic things there, I would say, from Boogie Fland. Didn't make a 3 in this game. I think it's the first time he hasn't made a 3 in quite some time now. Defensively, had a hard time when he was matched up with Primo Spears, which a lot of people will. Just pointed out there, though. But at the end of the game, finishes with only 6 points. So, 10 points or more maybe off of his season average, 3 of 11 from the field. So pretty inefficient there. Did have 6 rebounds, which is really good for his position. You love to see that, for the smallest guy on the floor to get in there and get you a half dozen boards. That's a positive. 7 assists, very good. Didn't realize that he was distributing the way that he was until the end of the game, but 4 turnovers for him as well. So expect more from Boogie. He's starting to get into a little bit of ups and downs, down with Illinois, very up against Miami, dropped off against UTSA. So maybe he's due for a big game in Madison Square Garden on Tuesday. Hope so. We've already talked about Thero. Jonas Adou. This is a very interesting one. Shout out to Adou for getting his first start as a Razorback. That was really good to see. Very clearly still getting back into shape, right? He's not in game shape yet. Still very clearly shaking off some rust. But again, I leave a game acknowledging, hey, a lot of things that he could have done better, but I'm very encouraged about where it's headed. The biggest thing for me, he starts and he plays 27 minutes. And man, Arkansas needs that. They need it. They need to get their whole damn team healthy because here we are. Why did he have to play 27 minutes? Because Big Z was out with that ankle. He didn't play. So you had to have Adou step up there. It was great to see him play that many minutes. I would say the first 2 minutes that he played of that game, that was the all-SEC version of Jonas Adou that Arkansas thought that they were going to get. And he comes out, gets a defensive rebound on the first possession, sprints down the floor, winds up getting himself open, dunks the basketball for the first points of the game. Shortly after that, he blocks a shot. Then he gets an assist, just impacting the game in so many different ways. And then I just remember them coming down the floor One time in transition, I go, oh, he's tired. He looks gassed. Well, then he promptly misses 4 shots in a row down around the rim and shots that he's normally going to make. And you can just tell he doesn't have his game legs underneath him. He's even said after the game, we actually got to interview him, that he's just working on his confidence, just getting back in the swing of things, learning his new teammates because he was out all summer. He's just now starting to practice and scrimmage with these guys. So you look at it at the end of the game and it's, well, he's 3 of 9 from the floor. Not great there. You can tell that he's winded and out of shape. You want to see more. Well, I think those things are going to come, but still at the end of the day, you look up and he damn near had a double-double, 8 points, 7 rebounds. He had 2 assists, 2 block shots and a steal. So impacting things on the defense end of the floor. And he plays 27 minutes with a bunch of guys that he's still trying to figure out, turnover free, didn't turn it over. And so those are some positives you can take away from it. And for a guy who I think is, I'm going to say based on what I know he can be, probably played a C game today. He damn near had a double-double. That's encouraging for what he could give you once he's up to full speed. Now, I also went into this understanding that he is not 100% back in terms of being in game shape and everything like that. So I'm not going to give him a C. I'm actually going to give him a little bit higher than that. I'm going to give him a B because I didn't expect him to nearly get a double-double given the circumstances. So a lot of things he's got to continue to work on. He's got to play his way back into shape. So there's going to be some ups and downs, but I was encouraged by some of the things that we saw there from Adou in this game. Good development for Arkansas. They're going to need him to be a little bit better even against Michigan on Tuesday. DJ Wagner, boy, I tell you what, he hit a huge shot for Arkansas because things were bleak at the end of the first half, and then he cans that 3 to just cut it from 8 to 5, but it gives you just a sliver of momentum, and you go from nearly down double digits to it just being a 2-possession game. That stuff matters. Then Arkansas was able to get things under control pretty quickly to start the second half. But, 7 points in this game. He did knock down a 3. Just talked about that one. Only 3 of 7 from the floor. Again, the 6 rebounds are good to see, but no assist for DJ in this game. He'd been high in that column, and then 3 turnovers. That's not great. And then I thought he was better in the second half, but struggled some with his defensive assignments as well, which we're not necessarily as used to seeing from him. He's been such a plus defender for Arkansas, and he'll continue to be. But I didn't think this was DJ's best game. I would say my expectations for him are higher than, even though he had 7 points, I expect him to be pretty consistently in that 10 to 12 point range. 6 rebounds is good. But to go, assist free when he was on the ball quite a bit and have 3 turnovers, got to be a little bit better than that. So I'm going to go C for DJ Wagner, and Arkansas is obviously going to need him to be better when he's playing closer to home on Tuesday at Madison Square Garden. Trevon Brazil, I tell you what, he looked very lost in the first half. I thought just kind of a little bit casual, kind of going through the motions, a little bit sloppy and careless with the ball. And I was wondering where this was headed for him because I'm thinking, man, Adou looks gassed. Trevon looks like he's not here. What's really going on? He was awesome in the second half. I mean, I thought it was the best version of Trevon Brazil that we've seen since, pre-injury, maybe. I really feel that way. Really like what he did there. Gave Arkansas a huge boost after the break. He finishes the game with 6 points, 4 rebounds, a block, a steal. So doing a little bit of everything there. Arkansas was plus 11 with him on the floor in 16 minutes. I tell you what, his plays in the second half really helped swing the momentum for good in Arkansas's favor. Had a couple ridiculous dunks. When he got the steal and went coast to coast and cocked that thing back and took off from 12 feet away from the rim and hammered it, that was like, wow. We haven't seen that kind of explosion from Trevon in a while, since he was posterizing the poor Jackrabbit. What is it? Okay, what is it about this? Let's think about this. South Dakota State game, he's got the poster against the Jackrabbits. Now he's getting the highlight dunks against the Roadrunners. What is it about these speedy critters that makes Trevon Brazil bring his best to the floor? We got to figure that out. We might have to ask him. But man, no, I was really impressed with him. He had the other play where I can't remember whose shot it was. I think it was DJ Wagner's that he had the putback on. And, he wound up getting called for the interference there, which was true because it was kind of around the cylinder, but it was because it took a second bounce off the rim. He couldn't have predicted that. Like, he timed it perfectly, would have been an easy tip in, but then it takes the second bounce off the rim. He winds up getting called for it. So he should have had more points than he did. I'm going to give him an A for the way that he played, because I think if you get that out of Trevon Brazil consistently, you're in a really good spot. The only thing I will say, and I keep saying it, I want to see him take the three. Like I think he's just so caught up within trying to keep the offense flowing that he catches and he immediately knows, okay, Boogie, DJ, somebody, they're about to wrap around. So I got to turn my body sideways and get ready for this dribble handoff and kind of set a little butt screen. But a lot of times he's getting these catches off the pick and pops. He's got wide open threes that he could just take and knock down. And Arkansas needs him to take those shots, especially when Big Z is not out there to take 6 to 10 threes per game for you. Arkansas needed more volume. It would have been a great opportunity for him. He passed up on a couple shots that he wished he wouldn't have, but I thought he was really good. The freshman, Carter Knox, Cal mentioned it. He was better in this game than he has been in the last couple. Still a lot to work on. I think I'm going to go C. Yeah, I think I'm going to go C for Carter. Finished with 7 points. He knocked down a three, catch and shoot look. Was good to see. He's 1 of 3 from beyond the arc in this game. He had an and one, which was a nice, tough physical play, working in transition, which was good. But he's, I think what's holding him back right now is it's not defense from a standpoint of can you sit down and guard your man and kind of keep him in front of you, because he does a really good job at that. But he gets lost out there sometimes, and it leads to buckets. It leads to problems. And then he had a turnover in this game at one point in the second half where it was kind of underneath your own basket situation. And then it created an advantage for UTSA in terms of numbers, and they get a wide open corner three. And it kind of kept them in the game longer than they needed to. It's little things like that, little focus things that are going to improve as he continues to settle in. But a little bit more focus would have been nice there from him. I was encouraged by some of the things I saw. I agree with Cal. Not that I need to for him to be validated by any means, but I did think he was a little bit better. Still a ways to go to really solidify himself. And Arkansas needs him to be good. They need him to be good. They need him to be a threat. They need him to be confident. So we'll see how that looks moving forward here. Billy Richmond, another game where he just didn't quite have it in this one. He did knock down a long two as soon as he pulled up off the dribble from 17 feet. I'm like, damn it. And then he made it. And it's one of those, no, yes kind of deals. But only played 11 minutes. That was a team low. He was the only Razorback who had a negative plus minus. He was -6 in those 11 minutes. And that was pretty much it in terms of impact. It was just another quiet game for him. He's done this to himself. I'm going to give him a D. And the reason I say he's done this to himself is because he has played his way into me having higher expectations for him because he's been so good, early on. Going to be part of the ebbs and flows, the roller coaster ride that you're going to have as a true freshman. But he's kind of on one of those downswings now for a couple games. And hopefully, being under the bright lights in Madison Square Garden, he can kind of bring it. Arkansas doesn't need him to score a ton, right? But they need him to be that energy guy. It was infectious early in the season, making impacts defensively, diving all over the floor for loose balls, getting on the offensive glass, extending plays, getting deflections. Those are the things that he can kind of carve out a niche role in, and that's what he needs to get back to. And then the buckets, the points, all that stuff will come. But they do need a little bit more from him. Arkansas is not in a position with this roster, even at full strength, where they can have guys who aren't playing their best. You can't have multiple guys on a given night who aren't playing well. And Cal said as much after the game, and it's true, especially when you haven't been at full strength. On a day like today where Big Z is out, you got 8 players out there, and because of some struggles, you wind up with really only 6 guys who are contributing. That's not a winning formula, all right? And we can blame, Cal for not having more depth, but at the same time, the guys that you do have, we've said it since the beginning, if you're going to go with a short rotation, you got to make sure you hit on all those guys. And that means they got to be good for you consistently and more often than not. Arkansas had a bad first half, good second half, able to cruise to the victory. They're 7-2 on the season. Still haven't seen them put together that complete game. They still haven't had that aha moment where they pass the eye test. They need to do that because a lot of eyes are going to be on Tuesday, the last opportunity in non-conference play for Arkansas to pick up a true resume win, a quad one, silence the doubters for a little while, and then work out the rest of the kinks towards the start of SEC play, which is right around the corner. But appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pot at the Palace. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning and talk about something Razorback basketball related. Y'all have a good one.